All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave, here in studio and in a remote location not to be disclosed at this time is Sir Rick. What's going on, Sir Rick?
Hey, greetings from somewhere, USA, folks. I'm out here doing good work, making things happen. You almost made me sound and feel like I'm in jail somewhere, like a weekend jail. I can't be seen.
We won't say jail. We won't say jail, but we will. We are just giving you the benefit of the doubt, sir, that this secret mission on assignment that you're on is to better and further world safety.
Dave, and it is. And let me tell you, just walking around, and I am in Tuscaloosa right now, walking around the city, I'm surprised and happy to see the words getting out. There's more and more people out there in the construction sites wearing safety gear. And I think a lot of that has to do with me personally. I don't think a lot of people knew about these kind of gear like it really existed until Sir Rick,
You mean besides the law requiring, besides the actual law requiring them to be wearing reflective gear while working on the roadways?
The law requires us to stop at stop signs, drive safe, Dave. But we've talked about that for a year, it seems like.
Yeah, we're still talking about it. We're still talking about it.
So drive safe. I get up today and I even go walk a little bit, go do that. I come back and I'm going to go get ready, go get showered up and everything. Hey, Dave, guess what?
What do you got?
I'm just saying, I may not be hot, and I know you look at me, and sometimes you give me that look that makes me feel a little hot, a little sexy. But this morning, I went into the shower, in the bathroom, took my clothes off.
I can't unsee. I
turned the shower on.
What does that mean? Good job. Good job, Sir Rick, to take the steps necessary to take a bath.
It's my way of saying I still got it. I can't do that to just anybody, but I did turn the shower on. So.
You did turn the shower on. Good job. I like that.
Anyway, so I go shopping. I have to go get hair product. I go get deodorant. I left everything at the house. Brought nothing with me. So all that I had to go get. But Dave, I made it back.
Don't they supply most of that? Don't they supply most of that at the hotel if you didn't bring it? Won't they give you those items?
Probably at where you stay, but when I go on a budget side. So I will say here at the Motel 6, they do not supply that. Where you
soap?
stay at,
There's no soap.
I didn't say soap. I said deodorant.
Oh, is it deodorant soap?
Yeah, I had to get all that. So I had to get everything ready to go. And anyway, I'm back. I made it. Got my gear. I'm geared up. I'm ready to talk safety, drive safe. It is the last during the week of Driver Appreciation Week. Man, what have you been hearing and seeing and doing for Driver Appreciation Week?
Man, for me personally, I've heard not only in the news, I've seen a lot of internet traffic, a lot of people on LinkedIn, a lot of people out there congratulating, going out there and making sure and demonstrating their appreciation in so many ways. So many organizations doing what they have to do to make sure they're out there letting the drivers know how important they are, how much of a heroes they still are to this country. I hope we never lose sight of that, and I'm glad to see that so many remember. I'm going to tell you a little secret this morning, Sir Rick. I woke up this morning, and my mom texted me this morning and told me, hey, thank you, truck driver. I used to be a truck driver. She wanted to say, hey, thank you for being a truck driver all those years, and she still thanked me this morning. It was pretty neat, pretty nice, right?
That's neat. Once a truck driver, always a truck driver. That's one thing you and I do have in common is we both have some over-the-road experience. And so tell Mom as well, thank you from Sir Rick. He truly, truly appreciates that as well.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to tell you. All right, so, Sir Rick, you know that we have Officer Crockett waiting in the wings this morning, today. I wanted to make sure.
You made it in there or not. Awesome, man. Awesome. Hello, Officer Crockett.
Unmute.
All right. We have, I can't hear you. Drive safe. Can we hear Officer Crockett?
Say one more thing.
Can you hear me, sir?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Can you hear him, Sir Rick? You can't hear Officer Crockett?
And I'm having a hard time hearing, sir, Mr. Rick.
So it's something inside the studio then, Drive Safe. So do me a favor. Here we go, Blake. This is real stuff here. Take me out and put Drive Safe Dave and Officer Crockett in there and just kind of kick me out of the view here for a second.
All right. So, well, Officer Crockett, tell us, hey, how are you doing today? What police force are you with, and how long have you been there?
I work with the City of Garland Police Department, and I've been officer for 30 plus years now.
For the same police department?
Yes, sir.
Do you work in the traffic division? What division do you work over there in Irving?
I'm in the traffic division. My primary duties are traffic enforcement, accident, crash reconstruction. My secondary duties are commercial vehicle enforcement.
Oh, okay. So you do work on the commercial vehicle enforcement division right there in in Garland. I'm sorry, over there in Garland. To do that, did you have to go to a specific school to get that done, to be able to work on the commercial traffic division?
Yes, sir. Training is never ending. I actually started getting into it in 2007 when I first came to the traffic unit. I went to a course that's sponsored by Dallas County, license and weight. I did that for about a year and a half, then I actually went down to Austin to attend their Part A, B, and C courses, to learn how to stop and inspect commercial vehicles and talk with the drivers. I've also been to a general hazard materials course, cargo tank, passenger carrier, and other bulk courses.
You know, and real quick, officer, I just want to tell you, having been a truck driver for a long time, part of our job as truck drivers is understanding that at some point we're going to be inspected out there on the road. We get it. I mean, believe it or not,
Yes.
most truck drivers that you encounter understand that that's part of their job function, right?
Yes, the ones who've been in the job for a while, they understand. It's the new drivers that sometimes who don't actually know the regulations that you tend to bump heads with sometimes.
One of the reasons why you're on, officer, number one, is it is Driver Appreciation Week across the country, Truck Driver Appreciation Week, and I've got a quick question. In your experience, when you pull somebody over, is it better to pull over a truck driver and visit with him and do his, or is it better to pull over the general public and deal with a four-wheeler out there on the road? Who do you seem to have a better rapport with?
Truck drivers, by far.
Why do you think that is, officer?
I think that they're out there doing the job, and they know we're out there doing the job also. And there's that mutual respect with one another. If we talk with mutual respect, the things will go so much easier, so much smoother throughout the entire stop.
When you do your stop, from what I understand, I've talked to several officers before. I've been stopped. I've talked to several. It's pretty set standard what you're doing out there. I mean, it doesn't vary much greatly from what you do when you do an inspection to when another officer does his inspection. Y'all are pretty much looking for the same things.
Yes, sir. One of the tenets of CVSA, which is Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance, is a uniformity, compatibility, and reciprocity. So when I say that, when we talk about uniformity, all our training is done no matter what state or jurisdiction you're in. The training is the same. It's similar. Compatibility. If I stop a truck and another officer stops that same truck 2 days down the road, that inspection process should be the same. Okay. In the same instance, if I stop a truck today and he says, "Hey, I just had an inspection yesterday, or I just had an inspection last week," and he shows me that inspection report, I'll accept that as okay, you're good to go. As long as I don't see anything that's falling off the vehicle that's sticking me in my eyeball, I'm gonna send you on down the road.
Right, I get it, and it's neat to know that y'all are trained the same way and that y'all are going over the stuff. So let's talk about the recent CMV road check that just occurred.
Yes, sir.
All right, were you involved in that road check?
We do, I did mine here within the city. I had other things going on. A lot of agencies, they actually got together with the actual details. We have several agencies get together and they're bringing in trucks and doing their inspections. Here in Garland, on that 3-day period, I only did 14 inspections. Out of the 14 inspections, I placed 5 drivers out of service for CDL violations and 4 vehicles out of service.
So, when you and so when you place a driver out of service and when you place a truck out of service, those are two independent things.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what would be some of the things that the drivers would that be like their health card was not up to date, or their current CDL was not, or their CDL wasn't current, or what would it take to get a driver out of service?
No CDL or a proper class of CDL on the medical card. If they've had a previous violation for no medical card, that would place them out of service.
Then, and that seems like a pretty high number. Of the 14 people you stopped, you had 5 go out of service, and then 5. What was it? And how many trucks did you take out?
4 trucks.
4 trucks out of service. What were some of those violations?
Brake systems. I had one wheel violation, which was actually our targeted object looking for this session, was the wheel ends. He had a cracked ram that placed him out of service. Damaged brake hoses placed him out of service, and I had a couple of low violations.
When you place a truck out of service, and for a lot of people that don't know, I know every truck driver out there knows the OOS when you place a truck or a driver out of service. Most of the time when you place a driver out of service, they're pretty much that can't be fixed right away, correct? I mean, that's not something you fix right away. However, when a wheel's cracked, you call in a guy, come in, change the wheel, they get it done and sign off on the repair on the ticket. They get to go on their way, right? I mean, it's pretty much done. When a driver gets placed out of service, it opens up a whole new can of worms, correct?
Yes, sir. When I place a driver out of service, I either have him call his employer, or I will call them and let them know, hey, I just stopped your driver. He's been inspected. He doesn't have a CDL, who has a proper class CDL, or he's out of hours, and he's going to be parked on the side of the road. For a CDL violation, say, can you please send another driver over here, take custody of this vehicle, and you get that way. You guys, don't waste any more time sitting on the side of the road. You guys can get your load on down the road.
And when you do this, and how important is it? I find it odd that you've got such a high number as you meet and as you stop. As a truck driver, number one, I don't want drivers out there that don't have a CDL running around a truck. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm a truck driver. I don't want a guy driving around a truck without a CDL. And I don't want an untrained individual behind an 80,000-pound vehicle. That's scary, isn't it? Number one,
yes,
that's pretty scary.
It's some of your larger companies, you don't have that problem as much. It's the smaller companies, owner operators, who are just getting started out, and they need drivers. Driver shortage is high, as you know. So if they can find anyone who can move a stick shift and steer it down the road, they'll put them behind the wheel. And that's fine until somebody like me or another officer stops them.
What is it, as you talk to trucking companies and as you talk to a lot of people here we do nationally, what would you recommend or what would you say to them, or how important it is that, I know the law is the law, but how important it is to them that they vet their drivers and make sure that they have the right information before we place them out there on the road?
When you look at it from a liability standpoint, if you are a owner of a trucking company and you put someone out there who is not properly licensed, who doesn't have a license at all, and he's driving a vehicle down the road weighing anywhere between 45 to 80,000 pounds, and he has an accident and actually hurts or kills someone, then you're putting that company and the owner at a high level of responsibility, and you can actually put a company out of business because you're not taking care of your business on your end.
When you we did focus on this last week on the CMV, the recent road checks, it was focusing on wheel ends, seals, bearings, also lug nuts, rims, like you found a cracked rim. As you checked 14 of them, a lot of them were okay, right? I mean, when you went through and you said you found a bunch of them okay. Is there
Yes.
a big difference? I know when a truck driver gets out and you start talking to them and that mutual respect happens, does it change a little bit about how this thing's going to play out by just the attitude alone when the driver gets out?
No, if I stop him, my mind's already made up how the stop's going to go. Like I said, I talk with everyone the way I would want to be talked with, the way I want somebody to talk with my parents. So that mutual respect is there. I've had drivers get out of the vehicle and they're upset, from the get-go. So I kind of play it off, ignore them, and I keep talking with them in a calm voice, and showing them respect, and eventually they come around to me. And by the end of the stop, we're joking about what's going on.
I like that. I appreciate that. Do you have, what is the next scheduled event that y'all have, the CSVA? What is the next scheduled event y'all have?
I think we just had Break Safety Week, which was last week.
Yeah, I know. We just did that. And how'd that go?
I wasn't able to participate in that because I'm like I said, I'm also doing crash investigations, so I'm swamped with that right now.
Oh, with crash investigations?
Yes, sir. I'm doing.
I hope that's not with any. I hope that's without any of the big trucks.
No, sir. No, sir.
Well, I'll tell you what, officer. I tell you what. We appreciate what you do. We appreciate what your commitment to safety, and we appreciate everything that you do out there for each and everybody in the community. I like the idea that you believe that when you're going to talk to them, you're going to make the situation right when you talk to them. I think that says volumes about not only your character but your training.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you what, we're going to have you on again regularly, if we at all possible, to talk about some particular events as we go forward. I would like to develop a good relationship here in the studio and with the police department, if that's okay with you.
Yes, sir. That's fine. It's outstanding. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for coming on. We do appreciate it, officer, and we will talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All righty.
You have a good day.
All right. You do the same. Encouraging, fantastic to know what we've got going on out there, and that the police force and the CMV officers that are out there, commercial motor vehicle officers out there, they're doing it the same way. They're doing it out there, and it's part of the job. It's required of them, and you know what? Truck drivers out there truly and genuinely realize how necessary they are to get these guys off the road that don't belong there. And I'm going to tell you, as a truck driver, that I don't want unsafe vehicles out there, and I don't want guys that don't know what they're doing or don't have a current CDL going on at this time. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back in just a second, I believe we have somebody else waiting in the wings to talk to us about a little bit of safety and litigation in that regard as well. All right, we'll be back in just a second. All right, everybody, and welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We have Drive Safe Dave here. We got Rick on location, running around trying to make the business work across the country so everybody truly knows what safety is all about. I think he's in Tuscaloosa at the moment, but right now we have waiting in the wings for us is Brandon Weissman, and president of Truck Safe, partner at Childress Law. Brandon, are you out there where we can get to you?
I am here.
All right, Brandon. There you are. Excited to see you.
Hey,
Welcome.
thanks for having me.
Are you hanging out in Indy right now?
Indianapolis, Indiana, yes.
Indianapolis,
Crossroads
Indiana.
of America.
What did you call it?
Crossroads of America.
Crossroads of America. I've been through Indianapolis many times, been around the loop even more times than that than I've actually been through the city. Let me ask you a quick question just so I know, because here I am. I'm way back over in Texas at the moment. It is hot. Summer came back with a vengeance. What kind of weather you got going on out there right now?
Yeah, it's high 80s right now. It's going to be
high
90s.
80s. Wish I had that problem. I just wish I had a high 80 problem going on right now, Brandon. All right, Brandon, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and just kind of want to get the audience to know who you are and what you got going on.
Yeah, so I'm a transportation attorney. Don't hold that against me. Have been practicing law in a niche area of DOT safety and compliance for about 15 years now, have had the pleasure of working with some of the nation's largest motor carriers on their safety programs, making sure they're up to snuff with all of the regulations that you all have to worry about. And so I've been doing that for a long time. Just recently started my own business called Truck Safe Consulting, where we offer a lot of educational content on regulatory requirements and that type of stuff. And just out there helping motor carriers to try and minimize their risk.
You know, and that, you know what, you kind of got to do, you spend a little niche, and that's really truly what you do. You have a little niche. What is your, how did you get into trucking? All right. I mean, most attorneys, when they go into law, don't go, you know what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to start out helping trucking companies be better, safer out there on the road. I don't think most of them do that, but I think you found a way to do that. How did you get involved in this part?
Yeah, so I followed my dad into it. My dad is a longtime partner at the largest transportation-related law firm in the country, in Indianapolis. And so went to law school, and then right out of law school went to work for the same firm that he worked at, and worked there for a long time until the beginning of 2021, when I kind of broke off on my own, started my own thing. So that's how I got into trucking. He was a safety director at a trucking company before he went to law school, so it's kind of in my blood, I guess you'd say.
You said, and you worked at, and it says here, just so you know, I really would like to know a little bit more about Truck Safe, just because that is, you are the president at Truck Safe. So tell me a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so the practicing law at the law firm for many years, one thing that my motor carrier clients would come to me and ask me for over the years was a good resource for training materials, not necessarily for their drivers, but more so for their safety managers, anybody in a position of managing regulated drivers, and they were looking for a resource for training on the safety regulations. What do they need to know about driver qualification? What do they need to know about hours of service rules, vehicle maintenance, drug and alcohol testing? All of these topics that I've been able to work with for many years now. And so I just thought, I never had a great place to turn them. So I thought, I'm just going to break off on my own here, and I'm going to build it myself. So first 6 months or so of starting Truck Safe was spent developing a curriculum that's aimed at safety managers that covers the nuts and bolts of DOT compliance and what it takes to manage a safety program. And so that's primarily what we do at Truck Safe. We've got about 6 separate courses now that we offer to trucking companies of all types and sizes. And then we also do some more traditional consulting work. So we work with carriers on developing their safety policies and their driver handbooks and their drug and alcohol policies. We do mock DOT audits for them. But really what we're passionate about is getting the content and the education out there that I've found seems to be lacking. And so we do that a few different ways. Not only the courses, we also have our own video podcast, for example, where we bring on guests to talk about DOT safety and compliance. And we also have our own social network called the Truck Safe Compliance Network that's built specifically for safety directors and risk advisors and trucking company owners. So it really all comes back to education and getting that information out there. So trucking companies have that information, that knowledge base to be able to manage DOT compliance.
You know, Brandon, as we sit here and we're talking about at BCB Live, the safest station in the nation, it's necessary. And when you discuss it and as you're talking about it, there is an entirely incredible area in which so many things you have to do as a trucking company to be good at the safety part of it that's required under the DOT regulations. And I find that a lot of companies don't do all of those well, especially when they don't have, I guess what I wanted to say is when the owner is also the safety director and also part dispatcher, there is so much that gets missed in the necessary stuff that makes that happen. Don't you agree?
Yeah. And to your point, I don't give those folks too much grief over it because they are wearing so many hats. They've got so much to worry about. And then you pile on top of them hundreds of regulations that they have to understand as if they are a lawyer. And then to, make sure that all of their drivers fully understand that. It's just a tall task. And so, and we as an industry have not done a great job of making that information available to them. And so that's kind of what we want to do, is get that information in an accessible way, in a way that is in layman's terms, that makes sense to them. So yeah, that's kind of our mission.
And what are some of the generally the most common problems that you address when you first walk in? And I know you do a mock audit. What are some of the, I mean, if you had to just, if you walked into a place that said, hey, we're great, you walk in, what are some of the most common problems that you address right away?
Biggest problem for virtually every motor carrier that I ever work with is how reactive we are as an industry. You know, we have these, we know about all of these serious accidents that happen. We hear about these nuclear verdicts that are out there, and that's kind of the elephant in the room. We all know that's a possibility for us at any given moment, but we don't take the time to ask ourselves the tough questions of what exactly are we doing to prevent that from occurring? Are we at least following the rules that we are supposed to be following? And so it's that idea of being proactive that is lacking at most motor carriers. Beyond that, when we start to get into really the nitty gritty of, you know, what violations we tend to encounter, we see a lot of hours of service violations. You know, I think the overall results of our mock audits that we do are pretty consistent with the results that you see out of the DOT. You know, they publish their list of violations that they most often encounter when they go in and do real audits, and our experience is the same. It's mostly going to be the things you just had an officer on talking about them. It's going to be CDL type violations, drivers not being properly licensed to operate the types of equipment that you're expecting them to operate. Those are fairly common. And then log falsifications is always at the top of the list, with you know, drivers either deliberately or inadvertently falsifying their records of duty status, and those can cause tremendous problems. Those hours of service violations, for example, are the only violations that the DOT double weights when it comes in and does an audit. So they carry twice as much weight than any other violations that they discover in the context of an audit. And that can pretty quickly sink a motor carrier in the context of those audits. So it's those hours of service violations, the driver qualification violations, that we tend to find most frequently.
And as you talk to it and about how you're finding new ways to educate, because I think what you're doing here is fantastic, and not only shoring up their difficulties with the legal part of it, but I truly believe that by you becoming a podcaster, speaking to these issues, and also inferring them in the social media environment, you're helping to develop a safety culture also within that organization, right? I mean, ultimately you want everybody in there to not only know about safety, but to believe in what they're doing and to believe in the safety.
Yeah, safety culture, you know, has become almost a buzzword. It's I fear that it's become almost, you know, kind of meaningless business speak. It's a word we use. It's a word we put on our websites. If we're a motor carrier, we say that safety is our number one priority. My question to you is that really true? Is that really the foundation of your business? And if it's not, then you need to look yourself in the mirror and make that a reality. Take the steps it takes. You know, it costs time, it costs money, it costs time, it takes effort to put these things in place, but it's imperative that you do so, because all it takes is one bad accident it's going to be lights out for you. We saw this, you know, just late last year. We saw the first ever $1 billion jury verdict in our industry rendered against a couple of trucking companies following a highway accident in which there was a fatality. And I look at that case and some of the things that went wrong there. The driver at issue in the case wasn't properly licensed to operate the truck that he was operating. Another driver in the case drove straight from Canada all the way down to Florida without taking a break and was several hours beyond his hours of service limits. And it's those things that add up and they ultimately lead to these catastrophic accidents. And so, you know, that's a reality that we have to be concerned with if we're a trucking company. We cannot put our head in the sand to these types of issues.
You know, and as we sit here and we talk about it, I think it's necessary when you start from, and I truly believe this, and I just want to mention it, I truly believe that starts with ownership, and that starts with the top of any trucking company. When you design and or implement this idea that safety is first, These people have to believe it above all else, and that no matter what, safety has to be first before you can be productive. Safety has to be before you can, put a person on the road. Safety, and that goes all the way to hiring practices, to orientation. What are you doing during orientation? To putting your people out there first on the road. How are your dispatchers handling, communicating, and dealing out dispatches? How is your planning team planning? How are you customer service orientation? Are you going to the save customers? Are you talking to save customers? I believe all of it comes, it's like a pyramid. I think you have to start at the top, and it creates that flow downward. If you don't have it up here, how are you going to have the support down at the bottom where the driver is out there on the road?
Yeah, I'm completely with you, Dave. It starts from the top down. If ownership does not have buy-in to this idea, then you don't have the foundation on which to build a successful safety program. If drivers are looking in and seeing the ownership pushing drivers to exceed their hours of service limits to get the job done, then any efforts that your safety team puts into compliance are just not going to be taken seriously. So it does have to start from the top down. And unfortunately, more often than not, I'm walking into trucking companies where their safety team recognizes the issue and the concern and the shortcomings that they have. But then I never see ownership in any of those meetings, and I fear for the outcome of those trucking companies.
If ownership's not involved in the beginning and the building of that, you're not going to have a solid foundation upon which to build. And I believe you 100%. Look, I got a bunch of questions I want to ask you, and I only have a few more minutes. How can companies and drivers better protect themselves from these lawsuits that we're talking about? We're discussing, and I think the answer is pretty simple, but I think it's a difficult thing to do, right? I think it's a little bit of both worlds. When you want to speak to that?
Yeah, when you look at these cases, these multi-million-dollar cases, there have been a number of studies of these cases over the years. The American Transportation Research Institute, ATRI, put out a great study a couple years ago about what is contributing to these multi-million-dollar jury verdicts. And the thing that we learn is that the way that these cases are prosecuted is to attack not necessarily the circumstances of a particular accident at hand, but rather to attack the reputation, the safety-related reputation of that motor carrier, and to cast that motor carrier as a bad actor, as someone who didn't take safety seriously, and that's what led to this accident. And it's that idea, this is called the reptile theory of litigation, where the plaintiff's attorney appeals to the emotions of the jury to say, how can we let this motor carrier who doesn't take safety seriously continue to operate out in the country? And so that is what inflames the minds of the jury and leads to the juries wanting to do something to fix that. And the tool that's available to them to fix that is to impose what we call punitive damages intended to punish the motor carrier for having a deficiencies in its safety program. And so my advice to carriers, to every carrier, is when it comes to protecting yourself against these types of verdicts, it's important to take stock of where you stand from a safety and compliance standpoint. Where are your gaps? You have to engage in some self-critical evaluation and first understand where we are deficient. How are our CSA scores? How is our out of service rates? The officer you had on was talking about these out of service rates. All of that data is publicly available and is going to be brought out against you in any litigation in which you're involved. So it's important that you look at that data, identify the areas where you are weak, and work to fix those areas. And that's all goes back to being proactive.
And it doesn't hurt to have a consultant to come in and help you identify the areas of concern and also how to shore up your liabilities and further help you protect yourself in the future. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm the magic bullet that's going to fix all of your problems. It's going to take work on your part, but I can help you identify your deficiencies and know where to look for your deficiencies so that you can then work to, fill any gaps that you may have.
Hey, this Truck Safe, I got a little notation here, and tell me what is the Truck Safe Compliance Network app? Do you have that? Are you developing that? What is that?
Yeah, so Truck Safe Compliance Network is that kind of social network that I mentioned at the beginning that we launched probably 4 or 5 months ago now. This is another way where we try and deliver content, compliance-related content to motor carriers. It's a social network. The app is available on the App Store, the Google Play Store. Just search Truck Safe and you'll find it. It's a place where safety directors and safety managers and insurance professionals and anybody involved in highway safety gather together and ask questions and learn from one another about what they're doing to, manage their safety program. We put out a lot of webinars in that network for anybody that's a part of it. It's free to join. We just wanted to create the space for safety professionals to gather together and learn from one another.
I find that fascinating and excellent in the leadership role to take care of that. If anybody wants to get in contact with you directly about Truck Safe and partnering with Truck Safe at all, Brandon, how do they do that?
Yeah, go to trucksafe.com or just email me at brandon@trucksafe.com. We haven't even talked about it, but we also do the legal side of things still. I'm still a lawyer, recovering a lawyer, I guess you would say. And I still practice in this area of DOT safety regulations. And I do that through a small law firm called Childress Law. So if you're interested on the legal side of things, also look up Childress Law and you'll find us.
And if they want to find you, they can find you on your podcast. How?
Truck Safe Live. You can find it anywhere you get your podcasts.
All right, and you will be the star of Truck Safe Live. Is that correct, sir?
I'm the host. I'm like you, Dave. The stars are the guests we bring.
I know. I like to consider myself a star sometimes. I don't. But anyway, I tell you what, I appreciate you coming on, Brandon. I am going to look forward to jumping in on Truck Safe, that compliance app. I want to see what you're going and what you got going on, man. It is exciting and fun. Here we are out here. That's what BCB Live is all about. It's about being safe out here on the road and about bringing the news and the information necessary to be successful. And I think this is going to play a big part in that and also help people find ways and avenues to do that and be safe. All right, before you go, Brandon, look, we always ask our guests that come on, we ask them to state their name, who they're with, and that you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that, sir?
Sure, I'll give it a shot here. Hey, everyone, Brandon Wiseman here from Truck Safe and Childress Law, and you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Wow, you did that almost like a professional. It's pretty scary. I do it. I say it every day, and I mess it up about 3 times a day. So congratulations to you on that. Hey, thanks a lot for coming on. Can we look forward to maybe bringing you back and talking to you about some other specific topics in the near future?
Yeah, let's do it for sure.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. We'll see you later.
All
Have
right.
a great weekend.
All right, bye.
All right, that's Brandon Weissman over there at Truck Safe. Look him up, find him online, find him on the app. That's pretty cool. He's got an app that everybody can share and jump on and be a part of a safety environment. Fantastic job. When we come back in just a minute, we're going to bring on a special guest here on BCB Live, one of our local safety directors. And let me tell you, she's pretty awesome when it comes to talking about those things out there that means to be safe. We'll be back in just about 60 seconds on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected. News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong. Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
All right, and we're back here at BCB Live, the safest station in the nation, and we have No Crash Crystal sitting here alongside Drive Safe Dave here on BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Now, look, all week we've been discussing and talking about aggressive driving, and each day we've come up with a little bit different topic to that. What is the day topic today for aggressive driving?
Just attitude.
Attitude?
Yeah.
Adjust your attitude. Why would you need to adjust your attitude for aggressive driving?
Well, if you're having a bad day and you start out aggressive, you're probably going to take it on everybody, take it towards everybody that you're driving with or against or whatever.
Yeah, I truly believe that. You know, we joke about it, and I told my daughter a long time ago when she was starting to drive and when she was out, well, whenever she did anything, I said, look, you're not ever going to truly be able to control what happens. There's going to be situations in which you have no control at all. There's going to be moments in life in which things happen to you that you don't want them to happen. However, the only thing you can truly control in life is your attitude. The only thing that you can grab a hold of at the moment and make sure that it stays in balance and does you right is your attitude. You've got to make sure that you've got to do it right. When you have a perceived wrong, you've got to make sure you check your attitude when you're behind that 80,000-pound vehicle and you don't get angry because somebody cut you off. I get you may be a little angry at the time, but you don't allow it to mess with your behavior.
Right, because when you have a bad attitude, it makes you have more aggressive driving because it comes out in different ways.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, you know, a lot of people find that when they're in a hurry, they'll find themselves tailgating more often because the people in the front of them are running just a tad bit slow, right? I mean, why are they doing that? They need to hurry up. I'm in a hurry. So you get some of those attitudes that play a big part, and it basically jumps out there on your in your behavior, right? And what you do, your actions out there will say a lot about your behavior.
Exactly.
Your actions will say a lot about, I mean, your behavior will say a lot about your actions in life, right? 100%?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, okay, so we have some videos. I think we got a couple we want to look at really quick before we call it a day. What do we got over there, Blake? I know you're running the boards over there. What do we got? We got a video or two? Got a couple of videos. Here's one. What does this look like to you?
Looks like we're running a little fast and right on their tail.
This is tailgating.
Yeah.
This is a form of aggressive driving.
And he can't go anywhere. There's nowhere. He's not going to push them, so you might as well slow down.
Back off.
Just slow down.
Relax.
Yeah.
Find a way. Find a way to back off from these moments right here.
Yeah.
Give us another video. Right here. Where are you going?
Nowhere. I mean, you're in a hurry, but nobody else is, so you might as well take a deep breath and just slow down, back off.
But this truly puts ourselves in a very dangerous situation right here.
Exactly.
If something were to happen in this moment right here, you're less than 50 feet from the vehicle in front of you. That's a 53-foot trailer. And you're less than the length of the trailer at the start of the video.
Yeah, definitely.
Now here's a little bit different scene. A little bit further back, I think our eyes play a little bit trick on us. We feel like we have a lot of space and a lot of area around us, but we're really not that far from the vehicle in front of us.
Yes, yes.
All right, here's your favorite right here.
Right.
What's going on here? What happened here?
Totally didn't stop. He didn't see the red, or pretended he didn't see the stop sign whatsoever.
I don't think I've ever actually heard anybody say pretended they didn't see.
Well, so he
or she
ignored it. He or she ignored.
Equal opportunity blame here.
Ignored the stop sign. Always, you might look and think there's no one coming, but one four-wheeler can pop out of nowhere and be right under that trailer with you not stopping and double checking both directions.
I agree with you, and we watch this. We show these all the time, and it's important that we talk about these stop signs, because if that had been a red light, like you'd come up to a red light, you're not running that.
No.
You're not running that at all. How is a red light much different than a stop sign when both of them mean exactly the same thing?
I don't know. It's funny because you see drivers that totally do different opposite. They roll through the stop signs, but they don't roll a red light.
Of course not. Yeah, we got one more, I think, and we'll show it, and then I think we're done. This is another stop sign.
Yeah.
And let's just not even slow down.
Yeah.
Let's just be going slow, because does that make it okay? I started out slow. Do I need to stop, or
Nah, he's thinking, the red light turned. I'm just gonna go with traffic instead of stopping. You gotta stop at the stop signs. The same accidents occur. The same ticket will be ticketed. I mean, that's why stop signs there, to protect you, protect other drivers.
Absolutely, 100%. All right, everybody, here it is. We wanted y'all to see some of the safety videos out there. I do appreciate you coming in today. No Crash Crystal, and bringing it, right?
Right, I guess that's my new name.
No Crash Crystal coming in here, telling us a little bit about safety and giving us the safety topic for the week. Hey, everybody, do me a favor. If you have an opportunity out there today, wherever you are, it doesn't matter if you're at the store or if you're anywhere, you see a truck driver, do us a favor, do them a favor, and do yourself a favor by walking up and say, hey, driver, I want to thank you for all that you do for this country and all of the hard work that goes involved in being a truck driver. It is a much respected profession that needs your support wherever you are and however you are, because it is important for us to appreciate exactly those that carry the weight and freight on their backs across this country. Have a great and wonderful weekend. We will see y'all next week here on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.